You
And
are
welcome.
live.
Welcome to Front of Jump, your source for all things hip hop. I'm Syllables, my co host.
Mr. White.
Today, we're going to be talking about 50 of the greatest hip hop album covers of all time. Because when you look at a hip hop album, it's not just the music or the name brand recognition. Sometimes it comes down to, did you like the album cover? You know?
Yeah, I mean, when you go to a store looking for records, you can't preview them, right? So I think a lot of people over the years have picked out stuff just because it looks good or
Yeah.
something that they like. It's like maybe you heard a single, maybe you didn't, right?
Yeah, so Hip Hop DX has got 50 greatest hip hop album covers of all time, and we're gonna rate these on Front of Jump. So let's go ahead and show the list. So the list is the 50 greatest hip hop album covers of all time. Hip Hop DX is covering this, and so starting off this list, what are your thoughts on Tribe Called Quest's Low End Theory, 1991?
Well, I think conceptually, I like the art, right? It matches what they're talking about. They're showing the low end with the Tribe Called Quest name, in that low end, right? And it's also a play on words, right? Low end theory, also talking about bass and hip hop music. So I think as far as from an artistic perspective, it's a pretty cool artwork. It's not elaborate or anything, but I think it makes sense.
Yeah, for me, this is okay. I'm not a huge fan of this. If I was seeing this randomly, the album cover by itself would not necessarily make me want to listen to this album if I
Okay.
had never heard of Tribe Called Quest. Now I have. Tribe Called is one of the first bands I ever heard in hip hop way back in the day. Because as a millennial, they are of my era. This one, she looks like she's trying to pop a squat. If that's a girl or I can't even tell. But for me,
Yeah,
like
you can't tell what type of person that
yeah, I
is.
don't know. And
Yeah.
so, like, is that supposed to be a record at her butt? I don't know, or his butt. I have no idea what's going on with this. So that kind of lack of recognition of what specifically it is may for me cause me to just kind of scroll away. Now, people's instinctive rhythms. That's I got that on vinyl. That's instinctive travels in the paths of rhythm. Right. That album is great, and for me, it's got a dynamic silhouette of all the members of Tribe Called Quest. It's got skyscraper buildings and this kind of old school cartoon look with people also in these kind of old school cartoon animation style
You
drawing.
also see like they have names of other relevant bands like De La Soul and Jungle Brothers in there. So
Yeah.
it's definitely got a lot more going on
Yeah.
than the low end theory.
Yeah,
So,
and so the low end theory also like the contrast between the color of the title, the low end theory, it doesn't contrast as much as the red and the black do, right? And plus, it's the green and the red they blend together as it is, like Christmas colors. So I think if I was gonna rate this, it wouldn't be as high as People's Instinctive Travels and Paths of Rhythm, like I got on
yeah, I
vinyl.
mean, it is it on this top 50 list just because it's an iconic album? Probably. I don't necessarily. I'm not saying it's the best visually. I think it's good. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's not amazing or anything.
And next up, we got what do we got up next? We
We got
got
Oh Dirty
ODB
Bastard.
Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version,
Yeah.
1995. Does ODB have clean versions?
I don't know about that.
I mean, doesn't his name itself tell you you're not going to get a clean version of his
Yeah,
verse?
and I like this. This is like it's like an ID, but also like a mug shot at the same time. This concept is very cool. It's kind of like a raw, rugged like identity type of thing, and I think this was a good concept. I don't have any issues with this at all in terms of the creativity behind it.
When we talk about scroll stoppers, I would stop my scroll if I saw this. Now, of course, this was created in an era before there was even a scroll, right?
Yeah.
Because this is 95. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't even have MySpace yet. Where's Tom at? And for this one, this would stop my scroll real fast if I was looking at this on a best of site or I was looking at this and I saw it on the record store.
And this is before the days where everybody just had Photoshop in their back pocket. So this probably took a decent amount of work to create this. And because it looks like a real ID.
Yeah.
It's not a real ID though.
Well, and
it looks like it.
Well, and that's what's curious about this to me is because if I was just seeing this randomly, I'd be like, wait, is this a real address? 36 Chambers. let me look up where 36 Chambers is located. That would be something I would I would want to check out. But also,
identification card for food coupons. I'm just looking at
yeah,
all the different things.
the city of
and/or public assistance.
the city of Brooklyn Zoo, right? Which is
so many gems on this ID.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice. I've known production companies that have produced Old Dirty Bastard, and so it's really cool to see this right now. It's kind of a journey back in history, but he got the parental advisory back when people gave a damn about this, which they don't at all.
Yeah,
but yeah, I would say
what rap song isn't explicit?
What does this say? What does it say? Artist name Old Dirty Bastard.
Yes,
with an official seal right beneath.
Yes, no, this is a dope album artwork.
No,
I really fucks with this.
I like that a lot. All right, and then up next we got one of the best album covers of all time, hands down. Nasty Nas, Illmatic, 1994. One of the albums that put Nas on the map as a legacy artist, and it's such a great shot because you've got Child Nas, Nasir Jones, look just staring down that fucking camera. He did not want his picture taken at that point in time. And then you have overlaid transparent, but not conflicting, right? Yeah. You sometimes see people trying to put transparent images over a background that clashes.
Yeah.
This works real well. It's got that kind of old school sepia tone, and you got the New York sky rises, but it doesn't look like a fancy part of New York.
It's the projects.
It's the projects. Yeah. This is really well done.
Like, and it, it's a simple concept, but Nas making this album cover has basically been repeated a million times. We're going to see other album covers of childlike faces in this list for sure. And I don't know if Nas was the first one to do it, but I think this started a whole trend of doing album covers with you as a kid standing in front of something, right? And I mean, it's a lot of innocence and purity in this, but like if you look at his childlike face, but it's hard. Like even as a kid, like it's hard, and then the background is like you say, it's not a nice New York, Chrysler building type thing. It's like that's the Jets.
Yes, this ain't the Empire State Building here with your tourist pictures.
Illmatic, yo.
Yes, Illmatic. And then, of course, you've got the dual tone Illmatic here with white and then black, and that, again, stands out. So
the graffiti type characters, you know what I'm saying, mixed in a little bit.
And then you look at the bottom, and it looks like this photo's almost been torn.
Yeah.
And it's just got that realistic feel to it.
Yeah, it looks very raw.
And now, is this some kind of subconscious messaging that the white man is the devil at his throat with the white? Maybe looking too deep into it, but
I think it's just like, when you're growing up in environments like that, you don't have the nice photo album book with the nice little drawers that you keep it in. Like that picture was just sitting around on a coffee table getting stains on it, and that's probably why it looked like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I imagine his childhood home wasn't necessarily like Beverly Hills, like, where his memories were in a scrapbook.
Yes. There might be a few things there that aren't quite Brady Bunch in Nas's background. How clever of you to point this out. No one would have thought that. All of his rapping about, Nas's teacups.
But I do like this album cover. I think it's great.
Escobar, definitely always bringing it home for us. And so what do we got next for some of the best album covers of all time?
So I haven't seen this one in a while, and it's cool to look at it again because I think when you see an album cover the first time, like you look at it and you appreciate it, but you just crack the CD open.
Yeah, you don't study it.
Listen. Yeah, but we're getting a chance to sit here and look at it. I never noticed that this basically has almost like a
school desk.
Yeah, and then you got the pencil in there, and it's just like the way that it's etched into it, like wood. You know what I'm saying? Like that it's just that texture that is giving her, this very organic quality to her. Even in her face is not like super serious, not super happy. It's almost like just very monotone. Like you don't know what she's thinking, but it's a lot definitely going on in her mind where she can't decide where she is, right? And that's a perfect description of how I felt like the album was when you listen to it at that time. Like she had a lot of stuff going on in her life, and it was reflected in her music. And, I think this being one of the most classic hip hop albums of all times, the album cover matches.
Well, I'd be curious if she knows now where she's at and what she's doing because we ain't heard music, Miss Hill. We need to hear some more
She
music.
makes music, but I think she's lost that buzz, right? And so if she drops something, nobody's gonna be like checking for it like they
It
used
just
to.
depends. I think Nas put her on, right? So we need to hear on the King Disease. So we need to hear
We've also heard that Lauren Hill can be difficult
this. This is
and
true.
also not consistent, right? Like she doesn't care as much as she used
I
to.
heard that Bill Murray, while being such a great actor, is a pain in the ass to work with. That's what I
Yeah,
heard, and he
yeah,
seems like such a friendly guy. So you never know what it means
yeah.
behind the
I don't know how
scenes.
much of a diva Lauren Hill is, but
Yeah,
if she is as much of a diva as people say that she is, it's probably the reason why we haven't gotten much from her or gotten anything of note from her since this project, which came out a long time ago. Still a classic.
yeah,
And the album artwork is a classic as well, right? And it
definitely.
looks very natural and organic. And
Yeah, 1998. In 1998, I was 15 years old. I was in a coma and I was in the hospital. I was not listening to Lauryn Hill at this point in time. That was the last part of the chaotic 90s where we had the FBI coming down on NWA. We had gangster rap rising for the first time, white people discovering hip hop for the first time,
yeah,
really in masse, right, as a cultural movement in the zeitgeist. And then what happens the next year, 1999? Eminem drops a Slim Shady. It's an interesting time in hip hop where it's the end of an era, and near the end of the era, Lauryn Hill gets her kicks in to put her '90s album on the charts.
and I guess I have a totally different experience with this because I followed the Fugees, right? My brothers listened to that. I came up on that, one of my favorite groups. So when she dropped this solo album, like it was one of the most anticipated things of all times in terms of hip hop. Like we were waiting on this album. When
Yeah.
this album came out, it delivered. Right, like not every album that's anticipated delivers, but this almost over delivered. Like in the sense
Yes.
of everybody knew Lauryn Hill was dope because she could rap and she could sing, but she brought it
Yeah.
on such a high level with this project that it was like, it's like when like I say, when something that you anticipate is actually as good as you expect, it's nothing like that feeling. Like I'll never be able to relive the moment of us anticipating this album coming out and then it actually being that fucking dope.
Well, my experience with that would definitely be anticipating Nas's new King's Disease releases and then
Okay.
them coming out and them being that dope. And I
They,
was
they
like,
were that dope.
wow, I
Yeah.
haven't heard something from Nas in a hot minute. What's with this King Disease stuff? Oh, this is very nice.
Yes, it was.
And so that's dope. I like how the album cover itself is in the theme of education and the miseducation of Lauryn
Yes.
Hill, talking
It all makes
about
sense.
the gap between what we're taught and what we're supposed to do or know or be as
Yes.
growing up versus the real reality of whether it's street education or just real life.
Yeah.
I like that. And I love the way she's looking up and I love the way she's looking up in an upper degree angle to the right where it looks like she's contemplating something or looking at the stars, but she's not seeing the stars. She's seeing something in her head about what she's so
Yeah.
obsessed with or working through or dealing with. So it has this real nice look. And could you have drawn this on a desk? Maybe. There are artists out there that are that good. So let's check out and see what the next album cover is. Of course, Notorious B.I.G. Here we got Ready to Die, 1994. Now, similar to like you were just saying, the Nas cover, we got someone else in 94.
Also from New York. So
Also
right,
from New York.
So definitely
album-
learning from Nas. You know what I'm saying?
So this was released in 1994 for Nas's Illmatic. And then guess what happens the same year?
Yeah.
Notorious B.I.G. Child Photo.
Child, even younger. as a
Even
baby.
younger.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let me outdo Nas. Let me go even younger.
And then you know what's interesting about this one? The title, right? And the concept of and you look at the emptiness, right? Like unlike the Nas one, which you have something in the background, it's like the name of this album is Ready to Die, and he's showing himself as a baby, and it's like
The opposite of
yeah,
dying.
it's like
yeah.
but it's like, and the nothing that's behind it kind of brings you into this reality of it's like, what does it all mean? Like, does anything mean anything? Like you're born, like being born, like and you're ready to die, like that kind of sucks, right? It's like, it's like you're not even expecting to have a life, right?
Or it could be him presenting himself as the moment of the next reincarnation where he's like, everything is white all around me. I'm ready
Yeah.
to die. Where's my next life? Who's the next body I'm going to walk into?
Now, as far
live
as
my life?
detailed, I mean, comparing it to the last one, this is kind of trash. To be honest.
Well,
I mean, it's not really anything going on here.
here's what I would do if I were Notorious B.I.G. and I was, or whoever he hired to make this album cover, or whether it's his idea or not. I'd make him bigger. I make him take up more of the space.
Yeah,
Because one of the things you see about Nas's cover,
he takes up the whole.
it's just real easy to stop on this cover. Whereas this one, if you're not careful, you can scroll past. Like, wait,
but
hold
also
up.
the Nas one looks more organic, right? Because we talked about how at the bottom it's kind of torn. It looks like a really old picture, the way that it was taken and all that.
Sepia.
Yeah, like this picture looks too pure. It looks like high def, like they refinished it and shit. Obviously, like they took the background away from it because I don't think he took a picture in a white room.
No.
Like I want to know what this picture actually looked like.
This
like,
is 1994 Photoshop right here. Yeah. So I would say it's okay. It's not bad, but I don't think it's as impactful as Nas.
Greatest album covers. I mean, think about how many albums have come out at this point. Like this is pretty basic.
I would definitely put an Outkast Atlian's cover above this one.
I mean, I don't think this stuff is like great in general, but I don't even know. To me, the album is iconic, but is the cover iconic? Not really.
I wouldn't say that. I would say the styling of the words is a little iconic, but other than that, and the mono space here is pretty cool.
It's kind of cool,
but the Outkast Stankonia.
Now they have that. So okay, this album covers
I prefer
Outkast. This is
again. I prefer the Atlians album cover. Yeah. So like, if you're looking at AT Aliens right here for the album cover, we look at let's see. Let's take a look and see if we can get to the album cover real fast. See this?
Yeah, that's great.
Right away. Right away.
That's great.
This just gets you, and you're automatically drawn in. Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, the comic book style. You know, with the great amount of detail in it. Like
this is amazing.
The graffiti style, 3D words jumping out of you. Like I love this. I love any album cover that's in this style. I like comics, so
yeah, me too.
Really reaches me.
But what I'm hoping is Hip Hop DX isn't really gonna put this album cover on here, but not this one. So we'll
see, man. This album cover is not that interesting.
No,
it's pretty boring in my opinion.
No, the Outkast have much more interesting album covers.
Yeah.
And so now we have Lil Kim, Hardcore, 1996. And what's funny about this?
It's not that hardcore.
In 1996,
this
was hardcore. This was hardcore.
She's sitting on a polar bear rug, and she looks a little sexy, like, but she's not like nasty. Like we were talking about that new Ice Spice one, right? Or Nicki. Oh, you were talking about Nicki Minaj Anaconda.
Yeah.
It's like how graphic the album covers are with women nowadays. Yeah, like that. Now that's
okay,
freaky, right?
Okay, so like yeah. This
that's hardcore right there.
Yeah, and then look at this.
This is much more like softcore.
You can't even see cleavage. I mean, my God.
I mean, but this, Lil Kim looked good back then. I like that.
Oh, of course. I think it's a good album cover. Yes, definitely. I think
it's better than the Biggie Ready to Die album cover. Like they put some thought into this. It's very feminine, but kind of wild too.
Well, it looks like a trashy romance novel.
Yeah,
and this is in the pink red cursive here, and then
I even like the side kind of bold, like
hardcore.
Yeah, definitely.
Is this a porn flick or an album? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me check it out. Right? It's got a great appeal there.
Yeah,
I think that
I like that album.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, the polar bear. Come on, the fucking polar bear rug. Like, like I don't know if I've ever seen a polar bear rug in any situation. So
I generally don't want dead animal heads that I can trip over when I'm trying to go to the restroom at night. Oh, my foot got pierced. What happened? I was bit by a polar bear. But
the polar bear is
a dead one.
Hardcore thing in the picture.
Yeah, and I would say, Nicki Minaj definitely taking this to the next level of spiciness.
Yeah.
But then we look at
oh, you gonna bring up the Ice Spice one?
Ice Spice. What's that one called?
I don't know the name of her dang on albums. She only got one. But
yeah. So we looking at it's just called Like, which is why I couldn't remember the name of it.
Look, Google don't even want to let you bring it up because it's just so explicit.
It's so
And
explicit.
it's just like this. It's just to the point of this shit's just nasty now. Like she just looks like a prostitute and shit. And I mean, I guess people just into that or whatever. But I don't know. I'm like, nah.
I don't know.
Nah, I mean, I care about the music. That's the thing. Like, Little Kim actually was a great rapper at that time, so it was like I'm fine with this cover. This cover will make me listen to it. The Ice Spice cover will make me not listen to it. I didn't even know about that cover until she was talking about it in some interview, and they were like, "Oh, do your parents know about this?" And then she was like, "Yeah, they said maybe I shouldn't do that again." And it's like,
oh, look, our daughter has a new. Yeah. I'll just play the
this
songs
album
for
cover,
you.
I bet you did not disappoint Lil Kim's parents.
No, this is good. Well, I think there was a lot more taste
Yes.
back then. And then we got Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly.
This is a great album cover.
Yeah.
It's so great. You got the homies chilling in front of the White House, just G'd out. Like it's like a complete, oxymoron, right? Because it's like
Black people ain't at the White House in large numbers.
especially not kicking it like that. Like it's like you got the hood and then you got the government right in the same space. It's like,
well, you weren't on behind the scenes when Obama was president. I bet there were some moments where we broke that stupid bullshit. That. So,
but then we messed it all up when we put Trump back in.
Yes,
so
yes.
We just went back to the.
We didn't do that shit. I know who I voted for.
I'm an American, so I feel like I gotta take responsibility for what we do, good or bad. Like I can't just dissociate myself from America when we collectively make bad decisions.
You can talk about that on your podcast. So
this is my damn podcast.
I'm just saying there was probably more moments similar to this when Obama was president, which is cool. I was in Chicago and I worked out at Obama's gym, which was pretty dope. And the cook at the gym told me that about Obama coming to the gym and what he would do.
Or is this really cool? Is this more dystopian than anything, right? Like
so Obama was literally working out in this gym that I went to work out in Chicago, and the cook there told me about Obama coming in and how he worked out and how he really focused on playing basketball all the time. And I'm like, is there a court somewhere on the White House we don't know about that Obama had installed? And I don't know.
Hey, potentially, yo. I mean, he
in
definitely
some area of the White House campus grounds there was a basketball court, probably some dice games. They never saw this shit before. But what do we got coming up next?
Tyler the Creator, Flower Boy.
Now I'm going to be the first one to admit of my ignorance here. I am not a gigantic Tyler the Creator fan. Now I'm not a hater. I don't hate on Tyler the Creator. As nice as that sounds in a sentence, I just haven't really listened to his music that much. So
from an album cover perspective, would you check this album out based on the cover?
I think it would pique my curiosity.
It's very artistic.
Yeah,
for sure.
It would definitely pique my curiosity. I would pick it up and I would look at the back and I would.
The Flower Boy title kind of throws me off.
Yeah,
but the imagery isn't bad.
So I like everything, but where the B covers his face, because I don't want to get into some weird, creepy insect.
It looks like Silence of the Lambs, right? Remember where they did that shit?
Yeah, the skull and the butterfly and all that stuff. It kind of looks like that, so it's kind of creepy. So I'm like, I don't know.
I don't like bees, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not. I like bees, just not when they sting me. But for this one, I don't know.
It's all right.
I would say it would stop my scroll. I would at least check it out.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. Then coming up next, we got J. Cole, KOD.
This was super creepy, yo.
This is a very strange message.
Yeah.
We got a skull. We got the character from Scream almost. Then we got some children.
And he's like ruling over these kids almost in a way.
And they have feline features. This one looks like a cat.
Yeah. And they're all doing drugs.
Yeah.
Because that's what the name of the album is. KOD, Kids on Drugs.
Yeah. Or Kill Our Demons.
Or King Overdosed. I don't know. I mean,
it's
very artistic, but it's kind of creepy.
So the artist's name is Six Mao. Now, if you're familiar with the Chinese dynasty, Mao was not a positive character. Whether that's the same Mao or not, or just an interesting combination, I don't know. But they were watching the NBA All-Star game together when he decided to create this cover. So it also could be that this was his interpretation of Lamar. I mean, sorry, J. Cole's lyrics for this album. This reminds me of Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick Lamar's got the crown
Yeah, yeah,
of the
yeah. The recent
thorns.
album, not yeah.
Yeah, he's got the dreads. So it's very similar to Kendrick. Maybe Kendrick Lamar drew inspiration from this in 2018 when this came out. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Did is this basically what gave Kendrick Lamar his inspiration to put in the crown of thorns? Who knows? Next up, what do we got?
The Two Live Crew. Now this is a fire ass album cover.
As nasty as they want to be.
Yeah, like I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like they, and then like they like chilling out underneath some nice tight bodies. You know what I'm saying? Like they just they look like they're fun people, right? And they look like they're gonna get the party started as they normally did.
Yeah, I would
Uncle
check
Luke
this
and them
out.
had some. Like if I could have like go back in time and be at a place, I would definitely want to go to an Uncle Luke show because I'm sure it was a vibe.
Oh man,
And this album cover is it's just cool, right? It's simple, but it's like they thought it out. They basically created A-frames for themselves in between the ladies' legs. They got all that fucking big ass dookie chains on this shit.
I like the contrast for the chains and then the background of the beach. They got a shallow depth of field shot where the foreground is in focus and the background is out of focus.
Yeah,
but you can still tell it's an ocean. This is good stuff.
And I like the split colors at the top with the title and the way that they have the name.
Oh yeah,
coming in very very 80s 90s esque. You know what I'm saying, in a way that contrast.
Oh, they got the drop shadow on the letters beneath it.
Yeah,
Like
man, this album cover is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I mean, we talking about 1989. Like, my God,
this is nice.
Pretty good.
Nice. And then we got, of course, Don Killuminati, 7 Day Theory, 96, Machiavelli.
This album cover is so foreboding, though, because it's like
unfortunately predictive.
Yeah, like, and I mean, but the energy on this album matches the album cover. Like, he was on some dark ass stuff, man. Like he was really in a bad place.
Yeah, so it is one of those things where is it a self-fulfilling prophecy that he got murked, or was this something that was happening that he just had forebodings of regardless?
And he probably felt like he was being crucified because at the time nobody really liked Pac like that. Like he had street enemies, the police system was chasing him around.
Yeah.
He was starting to get a lot of flack from parents and stuff like that because if you think about it, we talked about this before. Pac is kind of like two different artists. His early work was very positive, very Afrocentric.
Of course,
it was focused on different type of stuff. But by the time he got to Machiavelli, he was pretty much a pure gangster rapper.
No, I mean he even released an album of poetry and prose. Like he's done a lot of amazing
and
stuff.
So I think by this time he felt alienated by.
At this point, he feels like everyone's against him.
Yeah,
So this ain't a keep your chin up song.
Nah.
This is where he's like, all right, guns out, knives out. What's good? Take me, I'm ready.
And this definitely fits into the top 50 greatest album covers.
I would agree.
It's
well, and then you look at Biggie's album around the same era, and we got Ready to Die. A different interpretation
their own
of what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
With Tupac, he's like, I'm the savior. You guys are crucifying me.
Yes.
And he is as great as he made himself out to be.
Yeah.
Whether Kendrick Lamar is, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see about that. Then coming up, probably one of my favorite of all time album covers, and I'm not even a huge 50 fan. I like 50 Cent.
I love this album.
I like 50 Cent a lot, but regardless of how big a fan you are of 50 Cent, this album cover is phenomenal.
Yeah, we used to bang this riding around all the time. Like, and I was a G Unit stand for the longest. Like, and I mean, his backstory, all of this fits, right? Because you got the glass, like a bullet that's been shot through.
He's been shot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then, but it's still cool because you got the high definition on the other side of it because you can see the nice cross chain. He's got on what like a Gucci backpack or something like that. I don't know, like. It's just a lot of swag and intention in the way that this was created.
With the way he directly stares down the camera.
Yeah.
The way that it's a bullet hole that you're staring through to see a cross that's blinged out.
Yeah.
It's not just a regular cross, not a wooden cross. It's blinged out.
It's
and so it's one of those things where he's like, look, this is my ambition. I'm going for it.
Get Rich or Die Trying,
Yeah.
and it all make this album cover, like some of the other album covers that we really like. It mixes well with the concept of the project, right? Like some album covers, you're like, that doesn't make sense. Like with Stank On, you're like,
Yeah.
they're just standing in front of a flag. How does that identify with Stank On you or whatever?
Yeah, we're just gonna cover a couple more, and I would say one of my favorites is definitely Busta Rhymes'
The,
Extinction Level.
yeah,
This is
yeah,
pretty
that
incredible.
that is a pretty
I love the
intense album
I
cover.
love the old English text here.
Yeah,
The skull. Before we had face masks take over the world in 2020, he had a face mask with blades out of it. This is not
yeah,
quite. This reminds me of what's that? Bane reminds me of Bane.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot from the Batman lore.
But you see the dude is still like fresh to death, right? Like he's got the damn the shirt with the chain and almost like a fucking, it's got a jewel on the fucking link at the
Oh
top
yeah, he's got a
button,
nice
like,
brooch here.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
fucking crazy dope, yo.
No, this is really nice. I love the contrast, and he's not even looking at the camera, but it'll stop your scroll real fast because of
Yes.
the contrast of the white, the black, the skull. I don't know what this crazy symbol looks like. Something out of Chronicles of Riddick right here.
Yeah.
Like it's dope as fuck. And then let's see. I would
Cole,
say,
hey, wait. We can't pass this DMX one now. We talked about this when we first saw it,
yeah,
and it was like this is one of the, like this in terms of like graphicness, not like sexy or raunchy shit,
no,
but like
fucking violent
in terms
graphics.
of like dark shit, right? And then it's like you see this album cover, it's scary, yo. This shit
flesh
is real.
of my flesh, blood of my
and then
blood.
you go and listen to this album, it's like he does sound like he could kill a man with his bare hands.
Yeah.
Like he had that type of energy to him.
If DMX got mad at me because of some traffic issue, I'm not gonna piss him off. I'm gonna let him cut in front of me. I'm not gonna try to cut in front of DMX. I'm gonna let him take the lead on that.
Definitely. You like, hey, my bad, bro. My bad.
He's gonna jump out the car with brass knuckles and a piece. I'm not even gonna. I'm not gonna fuck around.
That's your man's. That's your.
Who let the dogs out?
Hey, yo, bitch.
And fuck up. Of course, the Chronic, all time
Yeah.
classic.
Simple.
I love it. I love it. Drake, back when we liked Drake,
Yeah,
had
he was making some great music.
that was nice stuff. Eminem,
Ooh, this is
Slim Shady
awesome.
LP
The body in the trunk and shit.
of his
about to go off
wife,
the pier.
of Kim.
Yep.
We all know his wife's name. One of the strangest situations where we know a rapper's bio because of how many times he's talked about killing this woman.
Yes. Does not like her.
No, even to the point of hiring actresses to scream in her voice, being locked in the trunk, and
Yeah.
Stan being thrown over the side of the highway.
Crazy shit, yo.
And we only know this didn't happen because she tried to sue him about it. I'm like, oh shit, I guess she's
Exactly.
alive. She's suing him about this exact type of shit.
But
But,
then it's also cool, like, it's okay, you got the black and white going on, but then at the bottom, you got the colored letters
Yeah.
for the Slim Shady, and that's the only color that you see. I love that contrast that they're doing with that.
And he's got his daughter, Haley,
Mhm.
right here as a child. Now, if you look at Haley right now, she's a fucking supermodel. Though, who would dare to date her? I don't know, because Eminem's a father. I don't want him mad at me for any reason at all.
But M got to get over that. You had a daughter. But obviously, I don't think he's that crazy. I think he just don't want nobody like
Yeah.
objectifying her,
Of
as
course.
no dad wants.
Of course, of course. And then,
man,
paid in full.
this,
Oh man,
this is like
Eric
the
B.
first, like,
Rakim,
flashy rap,
1987.
like, they doing their thing right here. Like
This
it's
is
all
dope.
about the money, yo.
This
And
is
it
dope
was
as fuck.
fresh.
No, I like
Saying
this.
it's simple, but they was about that life. Like before, people was talking about people being about that life. They was really
Yeah,
down.
This
And
classy.
they have the rap bars to back it up.
yeah,
right?
it's
You know what I'm
classy.
saying?
That's classy. I think it's very dope. Of course, the Fugees, the score. This is okay. It's all right. I think it gets the point across really well. I like the font. I like the contrast of the red and black,
Yeah,
like we saw at the Tribe Called Quest. But again, we have something really minimalistic.
Yeah, it's too minimalistic for me. I like the font, and like you
Yeah.
say, this was a great project. I love
Yeah.
listening to it, but
That's good.
the album cover was never anything.
It's
that I was-
okay.
yeah.
It's not bad, but it's okay. We got Gangstar. I do like Gangstar album covers.
They do a great job with their album
I
covers.
like Gangstar.
And they do like real life like album covers. Like instead of just putting on a whole bunch of graphics, the way that they did it with everything being more natural, and you could like see all these different elements going on. So it makes your eyes wander further into the background until you see the picture of Malcolm X on the wall. And
Well,
it's
so
just
we
really
normally
fun to show.
read in America, we read left to right.
Yeah,
And so we on the left, we've got a really nice picture. And then going to the right, you've got Malcolm X, you've got smoking a blunt, old school typewriter, piles of cash.
yeah,
It's a real nice flow, a Hamlet version skull right beneath
yeah,
Malcolm X on a stack of books,
yeah,
communicating well read but gangsta. Like
yeah.
I like this shit. And now we all know we can answer this question when Gangstar raps. You know my steez. Yes, we do.
Exactly.
Yes, we do. Well, that about wraps up all the time we have right now for these album covers. But I want to ask everyone else, what did you guys think of the top album covers that Hip Hop DX has reviewed on these 50 top album covers?
And I know y'all got some of y'all favorites y'all want
Yeah.
to talk about.
What wasn't
Drop that
covered
in the
here?
comments. Let us know. Maybe we'll review some of those albums. Like if you really like the cover, maybe we haven't heard some of those albums. We could check those projects
Yeah.
out for you and review them.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite hip hop album covers are and what you thought of the ones that we reviewed. Like, comment, and subscribe, and tune in for another episode of From the Jump.